I'm just keeping it, I'm just keeping it, I'm just keeping it real. Give them something, they give them something, they give them something, they feel. If you're tired of being stressed out and been depressed about it, you feel. We gon' let you know.
You women love married men. It's true. I've been saying this for a long time now, and if you've been following me for a while, you gotta look at it like this. There's a lot of women who tend to want what they can't have. And if you don't know, a lot of women are very competitive amongst themselves. So that's where a lot of that comes from. That's where it stems from. And you have to realize that there's some women that have never been proposed to by a man in their entire life since they've been living. And there's a lot of women that dream or wish that they could get married one day. And they usually don't stop dreaming until they hit like 45, 50. Around that age, that's when they pretty much stop dreaming. And a lot of women just give up. They say, man, it's probably not going to happen. If it ain't happened yet at my age, because a lot of them know that they can't compete against the younger women. And another thing about a lot of women that hit 45 and 50, around that age group, a lot of them are tired, beat up through life. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have the energy like they used to have. And the phone calls don't come through as often as they used to. And they don't get the attention like they used to. And a lot of them let themselves go. So a lot of women are tired in the late 40s. They're beat up through life, stressed out, overweight, sick, some type of illness. You know, some of them are popping pills, antidepressants, and got all kind of shit going on. So whenever this type of woman sees a married man that's or a married couple that look like they're having fun, look like they enjoy being around each other, there's some envy that comes about. You know, and it might be a subtle thing that happens amongst women. And a lot of times, this is partly the reason why a lot of women don't like their husbands being around other women, or at least getting too close, because they know how a lot of women get down, you know, behind the scenes, you know. And then you have, man, I remember I've had women make passes at me in front of women plenty of times. And it always happens in a very subtle, not rude, but it's always in a way where it's like, there's no way me or her would be offended by how she comes across and how she makes a pass. That's happened to me many times. You know, and it always happens when I least expect it to happen. You know, because you think about it like this. You have, not only do you have women that make passes at you when the woman you're with goes to the restroom or disappears for, to a couple minutes to do whatever she needs to do. That's one thing. But then you have some women are bold with it. They'll say little things, and it might go over your head, as a man. But from a woman's point of view, it's not going to go over their head. They know what she was trying to say. Now, she might have done it in a very friendly, passive way, but they know and they understand. Because see, women pick up on other stuff 10 times better than what a man would. You know what I mean? And that's just how it is. That's why I always say there's no such thing as a sisterhood. A lot of these women are not really friends. They just have found a way to get along with each other, to basically function within society amongst women. Because a lot of you hear a lot of women will say, "Oh, girl power," and all this stuff. And women should stick together. And these women aren't really sticking together. They'll stick together up to a certain extent, and then they're gonna jump ship once they get what they need to get out of whatever the situation may be, depending on what the environment is. That's really how a lot of women operate kind of cutthroat, in my opinion. They're not really friends. They just act like they're friends until they get what they want, and they cut bait and move on. That's how it is. This is why you see a lot of women, they don't stick around each other for no 20, 30, 40 years. Think about it. The majority of the women that you say, you might have a wife or a girlfriend, you might have met her in college, you might have met some of her friends, and 20, 30 years go by. How many of her friends are still around from college or high school? Not many. Most of them are gone. She might have one or two, if that. The friends that she have 20 years later, 30 years later, it's a new crop of women. And 9 times out of 10, at least one of her friends is secretly wants to smash you. That's usually how it go. But a lot of times, you have a lot of women are waiting for the perfect situation or the perfect timing. It might not be so bold and so fast to make a move on you if you're a married man. But I know in certain environments, especially if you live in the big cities, if you tell a woman you're a married man, some women don't care about that shit. Look, I got a homeboy that's been married since, I think, after college. I think they might have got married while they was in college, if I'm not mistaken. And they were married since the 90s. And he wears his ring every day. And the ring is like a chick magnet, for him. Because it seems like the more he wear the ring, the more women make passes at him. It seems like when he don't wear the ring, he seems like he still get passes, but not as many compared to having the wedding ring on. So he's one of those guys that every woman he smashes on the side is a married woman. And he's been like this since the 90s, since he's been married, basically. He said every woman he get with has to be married. Because he said he look at it like if they married just like I'm married, they ain't trying to break nothing up. So, and plus their time is limited, just like his time is limited. So that's how he played the game. But he said basically he said smashing a married woman is probably some of the best sex you ever gonna get. And I agree with that. That's been my experience. But I'm not. And the reason why I know that because I have slept with some married women, but I didn't know it until later on. I didn't know they were married until later on. But in his situation, he knows that they're married because they're upfront with it. And sometimes these women, he said he meet, they work together, mostly work together. So everybody pretty much knows everybody's status. So he said, look, he's been having relationships with some of these women for 5-10 years, and he'll get up with them probably once every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, something like that, or whatever, So, and you gotta, and another thing you have to remember, most married guys that I know, have slept with at least one woman since they've been married. I don't know a lot of married guys that have slept with just the wife since they've been married. And I don't care how long they've been married either. It could be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Most married men I know have slept with at least one woman at some point. I always say guys are as faithful as their options. That's what I always say. You know what I'm saying? And plus another thing you have to realize is that every marriage, when people get involved in their marriage, everyone has their own rules. So just because I say somebody's cheating, they might not necessarily be cheating. That might be an agreement that they have. You know what I'm saying? This is why back in the day, people used to see married guys out and about in clubs or probably some place where you would say they're not supposed to be, right? And people would go back and tell the wife, or tell the husband or whatever. And then I think I heard my dad or my mom say, hey, y'all need to mind y'all business because you don't really know what's going on with them people. You don't know what type of marriage relationship they have or how they operate. And that turns out to be true as I've gotten older, because we really don't know. Because in at least one situation I saw, when the person went back and told his wife, hey, I saw your husband with whoop-de-whoop, she got mad at him for telling him. But she got mad at her for telling her what her husband was doing. So that let me know that maybe they have, a relationship dynamic that's probably different from most people. Maybe it's not traditional. Don't assume that everybody's relationship is traditional, because I know my relationships are not traditional. Just like somebody else marriage, they might be an open relationship or they might be an open marriage. Now it might not start off like that, but it might change over the years due to circumstance. And people are sick and can't function, can't do certain things. Maybe the guy can't get up no more, or you have problems getting up, or maybe the woman have illnesses. You just never know. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is. But women have always loved married men since the beginning of the time, and it's never going to change. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of women look at it like it's a challenge, because like I said, a lot of women have never had any man propose to them to get married to them. A lot of women have never had at least one guy do it. One guy asked them for their hand in marriage. Not even close. And a lot of women dream to be married one day, regardless if you think she's a dirty, rotten scandal or a dirty, rotten whore, regardless of what you think about her. Even hoes want to get married one day. They dream about it. Now, will it happen for most of them? Probably not. You know, but they still have hope. They still think that, hey, maybe I can they can get married one day. And the crazy thing about it is when a woman sees a guy that's with a woman that she knows, she doesn't say, hey, I need a man like him. She doesn't say that. She's like, no, I want him. See, that's how cutthroat a lot of women are. And then she's like, if I get a chance to get him, I'll take him from her. And she'll have no conscience, it won't even bother her at all. That's how cutthroat a lot of women are today. That's how they operate. And to justify, and let's say that same woman that says that gets the opportunity to take the man from her friend. And to justify it, you know what she'll say? She'll say, well, she should have been taking care of home. She wouldn't have to worry about her man leaving. Yeah, she'll say that to justify her taking a married man from her friend. Yeah, this happens, and she'll have no guilty conscience, none whatsoever. Because to her, it's fair game. Even though he's married, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? In today's time, you have a lot of women, probably more and more women today. If you tell a woman that you're married, they'll be like, oh shit, I'm married too. I don't need to be around you all the time. I just need to be around you for a short time. So, back in the day, if you told a woman you was married, that would probably, she would fall back and she would leave you alone. And not so much today. Seems like if you tell a woman you're married, that you become even more of a challenge, because that means that, see, when you have a ring on your finger, really any type of ring, if I really think about it, it could be you won the Super Bowl, it could be sports related, it could be marriage related, it could be anything. But when you have a ring on your finger, we look at people different. We kind of put them we give them respect. And I'm not saying everybody deserves this respect, but we give them respect. We give them the benefit of the doubt. We assume that they're disciplined. We assume that they were worthy of having the ring on their finger. We assume that they're a good person. We give them the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that's always the case, but this is usually how it goes. So you, by default, become a challenge. You, by default, kind of get put on a pedestal for a woman. That's how she sees it. You know what I'm saying? And you could be working with some of these women. Every day you see her, or at least once a week, she might make a pass at you. And she might keep on doing it until you tell her to stop it, or you make it known that you don't like it. You know what I'm saying? And this happens on jobs all the time. This is usually how it goes. You know what I'm saying? But it's not gonna change. It's always gonna be like this. Shit, you have more married. Look, if you're the type of guy that had to pick a litter of women before you got married, you trust, best, and believe when you get married, it's gonna double, tenfold. I'm telling you. The only way it won't happen is if you're not around women like that. But if you're in the public, you on your job, or you're like, you go out, the events, conferences, and places like that. Oh, you're gonna have women clocking you when they find out you're married. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's usually how I go. You know, and it's not going to change. And if you don't believe it, talk to some married guys. They'll tell you about it. They'll tell you when it comes to they might have problems with their relationships as a man, but when it comes to sex, they don't have no problem with that. They get much more than enough in that category. Trust and believe that, because women are throwing it at these guys, you know. And I don't know a lot of guys that have enough discipline to constantly keep turning women down, especially if he's in the 20s and 30s. Now, as you get older, 40s and 50s, yeah, you know, you kind of understand what's going on out here, and you don't get suckered into certain situations. But when you're in your 20s and 30s, them dudes that's married, man, they knocking them down, boy. And these women are throwing it at these dudes on the job, at these conferences, in the nightclubs. Because you got married guys that still go out. These women are throwing at them. And you have married women that's throwing it at them too. As a matter of fact, a married woman will throw it at another married guy in a heartbeat. You know, because you got a married woman, in most cases, don't want nothing to do with a single man. She wants to be with a married man, because she looks at it like, once we done doing what we doing, he gonna go home just like I'm gonna go home. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going on out here today, man. And it ain't gonna change, because it's been going on. This is not new. You know, you have married couples sleeping with other married couples. They flip-flopping, switching. Yeah, they're doing that too. See, that's in the shadow world. You got swingers. You got other couples swinging with other married couples. They do that every once in a while too. You know, so you got that's in the shadow world. I'm not going to talk about that, but I'm just here to let you know that this is nothing new. Women been loving on married men since the beginning of time, and it ain't gonna stop. And you know, the funny thing is, it ain't really got nothing to do with nationality, and whether you're black, you're white, and your race. And ain't got it. Being a married man supersedes race and nationality. And I don't care what language you speak. If you're a married man, shit, this broad can be from China. If you catch her at the right time, she might bust it open. I've seen it. I saw it when I was in the military. You got plenty of guys that's married in the military. Women bust it open for them. Some of these women were married and some of them were single. They didn't care. All they knew is that, hey, he's attractive, and you know, I want a piece of him, and maybe I can take him. Maybe he can be mine one day. You know what I'm saying? That's all they was thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's wild out here, you know. But hey, you tell me what you think below. Like, share this episode. Don't forget to hit the Cash App. Until next time, I'm out.
Alright. Just got the call, it's going down tonight. It's a lot of good vibes here tonight. But then I saw the sky and that I like. Hair from Cali, I live in the valley. Now you look sexy.